Hi Akshu, hi Pujita, and all others. Let's wait for some more time. Thanks for joining in. So I welcome you all on behalf of MicroNet Group. And we're going to talk about Ansible in a few minutes. Hello everyone, this is Chaitanya. Welcome all on behalf of MicroNet group. Request everyone to fill in the form and we'll start session in a minute now.
Guys, please fill the form. Actually, we are conducting every week like 2 to 5 sessions, as most of the people are working from home. So actually, tomorrow also we have Amazon RDS, okay, and we have multiple Oracle sessions. We have Teradata. We have upcoming sessions on cybersecurity. So fill the form with your details. That will help us to reach you. Okay, thank you, guys.
All right, let me start. I welcome you all on the session for overview of Ansible. My name is Chaitanya. So we're going to learn about what is conflict management, very brief. And we'll also look into what is Ansible, how it works with the various use cases. We'll learn about the various components of Ansible, what is each component, and how to install Ansible using Amazon EC2. And we'll learn how to write in a simple sample playbook using a YAML file. Would be the agenda of what we are going to learn. And brief about myself, I'm an entrepreneur with 20 years of experience, and I'm certified on multiple technologies like virtualization, cloud, DevOps. So before I start off, I'm audible. Any challenges with others? I request everyone to use the chat tool, and I also request everyone to turn off webcam. So first one is, let's learn about what is configuration management. So let's look into a simple scenario wherein you want to deploy lots of packages or software in 1,000 machines or servers in enterprises. It is very difficult to go ahead and update the software in each and every system. So configuration management helps you to easily deploy the software or packages on lots of machines, as well as it can help you to do a health check of your slave nodes or a worker nodes, wherein you can easily manage them. This is called as configuration management. So for example, this is a scenario. For example, New York Stock Exchange, they had thousands of servers. And there was a bug in one of the software which was installed. And because of this, entire software went down. Now, to bring back the software up, you need to update a small package or software in in the software, which has to be updated in all the machines. Now, in this scenario, traditional methods wherein network administrator, IT administrators, they would go into each of the machines and go ahead and manually do it. So this is where configuration management tools, which is traditional, also you can learn about like SCCM, Microsoft SCCM, lots of tools are there, wherein you update the configuration, you first test it, and then you update it on a centralized server, and you add in all the machines to the centralized server, and automatically the worker nodes or the slave, which is attached to the central server, can pull in the configurations. This is how a config management a tool works. Like you have markets like Chef, Puppet, Ansible, and SaltStack. Lots of tools are there in the market which could do the work. Let me also give you one more case study. So this is for NASA, wherein they also use Ansible, wherein they need to update lots of changes. So each and every update is going to take a longer time. What they do is they have written a playbook using which they can easily make some changes. So anywhere where you feel that lots of changes has to be updated on the servers or the machines, you can start using your configuration management tools like Ansible, SaltStack, Chef, and Puppet. Now, any questions, you can ping me the chat window. I can answer your questions. As of any questions about what is config management, are we clear? Why do you want to have config management? How does it help in enterprises? Okay, so difference between Chef and Ansible. So Chef is a pull mechanism wherein it is going to allow the nodes is going to pull in the configurations from the server. But Ansible is a push mechanism, which you're going to look into it. Yeah. So Chef is a pull and Ansible is a push mechanism. The question is, why Ansible Chef? Why not Ansible? Didn't get a question, Deva. What do you mean by Ansible Chef? Yeah, the different mechanisms for using it. So what is Ansible? So Ansible and other tools, the advantage of using Ansible is it is an agentless. Tools like Puppet, Chef, these all requires for you to install Chef components on each and every client machines like a server or nodes. Agentless, the main reason why it's preferred as Ansible. It's a product of Red Hat. So let me open the website of Ansible so that you get a more clarity about what is Ansible works. Right. This is a page of website of Ansible. It's a product of Red Hat, in which you can find lots of products. Ansible Engine, Ansible Towers, all these are products. And you can find out about what is Ansible in here and brief about the page in here. The main component is Ansible Engine I'm going to talk about. You can also use a GUI option wherein you can use Ansible Tower and other options you can find it in here. And you can also look into these videos, write the papers, case studies. And if you want to download, you can also have a free trial using which you can download Ansible Tower for its GUI. And you can also install a free option on your EC2s or any virtual machines. You can install easily Ansible. So coming back, the important terms to be remembered are a control machine, inventory, playbook, task. I'm going to come back to this once we learn about the architecture of Ansible. So why Ansible? The first reason is it is quite very simple. It is you can write in using YAML files. So for example, if you want to push in some configurations, you write in the configuration in a YAML file, and you can update this on the server, and it's going to run the specific task on your slave nodes. The second reason is agentless. Since you need not install Ansible, for example, you want to update package on 1,000 machines, you need not install Ansible on those. You need to just only configure Ansible on a single server, and you call out the inventory file. In the inventory file, you call on the details of the other host to which you want to push in the configuration. Third one is it is very powerful and flexible because you can easily modify using YAML. And fourth one is you need not have much of extra software on your resources and hence easily deployable. So this is how architecture of Ansible I want to look into. Let me, before I think people are asking difference between Ansible Chef, let me just try to Google it because I do not want a slide. Just give me a minute. just access this. So just showing example here. In your Puppet and your Chef, they use pull mechanisms. And Ansible is going to use a push mechanism, which we're going to talk about now. So in Ansible, first thing is you need to configure your Ansible automation engine. It is on a server in which you can create. I'm not sure. You configure your server, that is install Ansible software. That once you install the Ansible software, it will have an Ansible inventory file into which you can go and add in the host which you want to push packages to. You can also have modules. Modules are some specific packages. If you want to, for example, you want to push in some service package, or you want to update some specific details, you can, everything categorized into modules. And plugins, which is going to help you to easily manage your modules. So what you do is, once you install your Ansible, you write and add in the inventory details. You call in all the details of the host, and then you start something, writing something called as a playbook. In the playbook, you start writing about what are the host details, to what group you want, all those things you can start writing in, and you start pushing the same onto your host machines. All the details of Ansible, you could either save it on your local machine or also internally, or push it externally to a CMDB, which is on a cloud. So the important terms to be remembered for Ansible are these. So it's also called as controller machine or automation engine. This is where you install Ansible. So Ansible could be installed on-premises, or you can also use a Docker and use a container to install Ansible, or you can also install it on cloud. So lots of options for installing Ansible. Second one is inventory file. So an inventory file is normally Ansible host CFG file, into which you can call in the details of the host to which you want to push in the software or packages. And playbook is the file, the YAML file. So this playbook looks something like this. Is one show you here. This is how a playbook would look. So this is how a playbook would look. And you call in the specific host to server group and the variables what you want and what you want to perform, the task you mention and the task, the name and what you want to install, what you want to check. And then you have notify option, handler options to ensure that it has got executed and done the required. This is how a playbook looks. The YAML files always start with the 3 hyphens, and this is all your indentation for YAML which you're supposed to follow. This is something like a list and dictionaries which you use in YAML is applied in here to ensure that the YAML format is clear. So what are the important components that we're talking about? Controller machine. The inventory is a file is contain details of host, and playbook is what you write in a file. So what you want to install, for example, you might be installing multiple packages. How do you call that? That is called as a task. So you can have multiple plays, and each play can have multiple tasks. And different packages are grouped into something called as a module. And you can use roles. So roles is going to help you to easily manage them. And facts are the details, which, for example, if you have added 100 machines, each machine would give the details about itself to the controller machine. That is called as facts. And handlers are used in case you install the software, whether you want to restart or stop, those actions are handled using handlers. So these are the important terms using for Ansible. Any questions, team?
Yeah, actually,
Yes.
Can you please describe the differences, I mean, roles and responsibilities of a DevOps engineer? What is the day-to-day work will be like?
Okay. See, DevOps is classified into 5 cycles. One is continuous development. You have continuous integration, testing, deployment, and monitoring. So it depends on your company what exactly they want to do. So it might be that you might want to be an expert in your deployment, but you need to be clear about other responsibilities like how your Git and GitHub works, how
Hello.
Jenkins works. Yeah, can you hear me?
Sorry, your voice got. Yeah, I just missed your voice. Can you please repeat it again?
Okay, so it depends on what role you are right now. What do you work as right now?
Yeah, like a junior DevOps engineer, or like a fresher. So, what kind of responsibilities they're expecting? I'm not working yet. I'm trying for a job. If they want, I want to know the what you call roles and responsibilities.
Okay, so do you like to developer or do you like to do more of a deployment? What's your preference?
More of a deployment.
Okay, so you are supposed to know what is DevOps first and why is DevOps required.
Okay.
Then you are supposed to know the cycle of DevOps, like what is continuous development, what is continuous integration, what is all the cycles. And you need to, on a high level, know what each one does. And you need to be strong in deploying servers or learning about Ansible, Puppet, and Chef. This is what is required for your level. Yeah.
Okay. And mostly, I have a doubt that in real time, will they use Ansible or Puppet because sorry, Chef, because in Chef we are going to initial agents and the server. So most of the companies won't accept, especially the banking sector won't accept that kind of thing. So how, I mean, what is the preferable thing to learn more? Is it Ansible or a Chef?
Okay, right now people are moving more towards Ansible. So in case if you want to learn, you can start with Ansible.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah?
Hi, am I audible to you?
Yes, you're audible.
Actually, I have a doubt. I am working in Azure end, so whether we can able to deploy the Windows machine using this Ansible, the configuration management.
Yes, you can use Windows also. So in Linux, normally use SSH passwordless. In Windows, you use WinRM. Yes, you can do on Windows also. It supports on all the platforms. Yeah, any other question?
Yeah, Chaitanya, are you there?
Yes.
Yeah, I just want to know in DevOps where exactly Ansible and Chef will be used in a real time.
Okay, in the real time, this would be wherein once the software is created, the code is created, the build is done, the test is done, then this has to be put into a server, correct? So
Yes.
that server deployment, application deployment is wherein you want to use Ansible. So let me just give me a minute. I'm just opening one of the slides. Just give me a minute.
Hi, sorry to disturb you. For the Azure, whether I need to install this controller machine in a separate VM or it's like I can install it in any Docker.
Okay, please give me a minute before I talk about. This is where you want to use your Ansible in your continuous deployment. The 5 cycles of DevOps are continuous development, testing, integration. This is where you want to use your Ansible. This is where you use Ansible. So first one is Git, wherein the developers prepare the source code, they push it to GitHub, and you can use external tools like Maven or other tools for build. If not, directly you can use Jenkins for build and test. Once build and test, the next one, this is where all the deployment tools come in here. Am I clear? Did I answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Yeah, welcome. Yes, what's the next question?
Can you brief more about module and role?
Yeah. So modules. So in Ansible, there are different modules. For example, if you want to, let me show you and explain to you. So for example, I want to do in specific database parameters. It is all there, it's classified into your modules of database. And in when, for example, a normal specific operation want to do it, I can use add host, all the modules. So all these specific steps, what you install, all are classified into different modules based on, so command modules would have the normal ping command, all these things.
Yeah, I got this. But if I am to ask, like, what do you mean by a module in Ansible? How would you answer this?
How do you answer what is a module in Ansible? Is that a question?
Yeah.
So Ansible, a module, you can say it's a set of commands or tasks which is being grouped together.
Set of tasks.
Yeah.
Okay. And what about role?
Or what you can say is, it can say executes each module or discrete use of codes of which is executed.
Okay. Set of codes that is getting executed.
Yes, yes.
Okay. And what about role?
So role, you use it for your specific roles to be created. Just give me a minute. So let's consider that you want to have multiple files to be part of your Ansible, and you having some dependencies, your variables, all these things you want to club together. For that, you can use roles. It is like a framework which you can use it for. For example, you have tasks, you have variables, you have files, templates, all this, and task and modules. All this you can have it together. That is called as a role.
Okay. So bunch of all these things.
Yes, bunch of tasks, modules, variables, all these things here, roles. So let me show you that. So those are your roles. Yeah. So these things, so for example, all this is your directory structure in which it talks about all the tasks, handlers, files, all this is part of your roles. Okay. And you manage this using Galaxy. You need to install a Ansible Galaxy using which you can manage that.
Okay, cool. Thank you.
Welcome.
And can you please show me how to integrate a JFrog Artifactory with the Ansible to deploy an application?
So okay, let us go step by step here. So what exactly you want to have an artifact which you want to deploy, is that?
Yeah, actually it is I tried to deploy a what you call a Java application, just a test application by using JFrog Artifactory through Jenkins. When I tried to from get I use the module get URL. In get URL I have placed the URL related information. For the very first time it is not taking properly. For the very first time I use it to build the what you call application through the code by using Maven in Amazon S3 buckets. For the first time, it happened like that. From later onwards, I use I mean, what do you call I'm getting confused. I'm getting some errors when I'm trying to do the same process by using a JFrog Artifactory in the get URL module.
Okay. Thanks for the question. This session is just an overview of Ansible, which is specific. I request you to post this question in your Google form. We'll come back to you later. Yeah.
Yeah, sure, definitely. Thanks.
So the question about Ansible architecture, I repeat once more. So Ansible, first one is you create or install Ansible on a machine, like on a virtual machine, on on-premises, or on a cloud on EC2. You would do it. That is your control machine or automation. Once I'm going to do this demo. Once you have it done, it would have an inventory file called as Ansible host CFG, in which you can call out the details of the host. For example, if you have 4 servers, 4 virtual machines, and you want to push in some packages on all the 4, you would first install Ansible on one of them and get in the IP details from etc host file and add in the same in your inventory in your server. And once that is done, you write in a playbook in which you define as to what is the details, what permissions you want, what package you want, where it is installed on the server. And you also mention that destination where it has to go and deploy on your nodes. This is what you update in here. And once you run this using your command, it is going to run the specific checks on your host machines and accordingly going to make changes based on what is running or not. This is how your Ansible works. And the details of all the configurations could be saved either internally or you can externally save it in a CMDB, which is integrated with your cloud, like Amazon Cloud. In the cloud also, you can save it here. Apart from this, you can also use Ansible wherein you can integrate with your VMware or many other platforms using which you can deploy VMs also. Lots of options are there using which you can explore.
So do you need like any specific language to learn or any scripting to learn to use this, or just a tool of buttons to use?
No, you need to know in brief about how YAML works. So the playbook, what you write, it is going to use a YAML file. So you need to remember what is the YAML, what is the syntax of YAML, how to write in something called as a dictionaries and lists, how to write it so that it is properly indented. If not, you can also use YAML in it, using which you can have in the indentation done. But YAML is very required. Yeah. So in case you know JSON, you can just try to learn difference between JSON and YAML, and you can try to write your own YAML files. So playbooks are written in YAML format, which is much more easier to understand. And this is normally used, many configuration files are written in YAML files in here. And in that, you would call in the host and users. So in case if you have lots of machines, like you have 100 machines, and in 10 machines, you want to push in only web servers, want to classify like that, you can create also groups and accordingly push in the specific task and place, and you can start pushing the configurations. And variables, so for example, you want to mention a specific port or a password, whatever you want to pass it on, those things you mention under variables.
Okay, sure. Thank you.
And under the task, you would mention what packages you want. All this thing would be something like this. And handlers are once your software is run, you want to restart and make some changes, those would be part of your handlers. So in general, your playbook would file would look like this. So you can write this as a some name.yaml file, and then you put in the -host. So you can either put in the host IP, or if you group them together, you can put in the group name and the variables using which you want them. For example, I'm trying to install Apache. So the port is 80 and maximum support is 200, to which I can push this checks to be done or push the software. The remote user must be logged as a root to execute the specific steps. What is the task? The task is, this is the name. What is the task? You mentioned another using the name parameter. So the task name is ensure Apache the latest version, and yum name Apache state latest. And this is going to run once you execute this playbook. If it is already latest one, it will not execute it. If not, it is going to run it and it will show in different colors, which I'm going to show you by doing a demo. This is how you write in a playbook. Still, you can find in more. For example, I have also called in here. When I access this in here, you can find still lots of playbooks which you could refer. This is all talking about what is playbook, how to write in a playbook, the same example I talked about. And you can get in details. What is a host, how to write in a host details. Remote users can be defined per task. I can write multiple tasks, a single play. What is a play? So if I write something like this is something like one play with one task, something like this I can mention. So host web servers. You can also define what services you want to check. All this could be done. Lots of examples you have in your details. So each play consists of a list of tasks. And this also follows a YAML file, for example, any YAML file to write in whichever is mentioned first, that will get executed. Please remember the task, what is mentioned, the first one, second one. For example, if you want to install Apache, first one, you want to check whether it is will not. If not tested, then you want to start the service. But you're going to write in a different one, it will not work. So hence, YAML files, you need to ensure that it is in the right order, it execute in the order in which you mentioned in your playbook. And you can mention what parameters you want. All this you can mention in here. This link which gives you the complete details about how to run here. Now let me try to help you to how to install Ansible. Ansible could be installed on-premise also. For the demo, I'm going to install Ansible in Amazon EC2. Let me show you what I'm going to do it so that you get a complete idea about how it works. And the cheat sheet, this also some commands using which you can run. There's one thing I want to talk about. In Ansible, you need to set up a passwordless SSH communication between your automation engine or controller machine and the host files. So you need to create a key pair, and you could copy the public key and replace with the authorized keys on your host machines. This is how you can use the command SSH keygen, and then you can copy. All this would be done. So I'm going to, these are the commands which you can install in case you want to run apt-get. You can use Ansible as a command which you can use. So these are the various commands. There are two types you can use when you work with Ansible. One is, instead of writing a playbook, I can also write an ad hoc command, a single command, which can do operations, or I can write in a playbook.
I have one question.
Yeah, yes.
Is it possible to connect to other server without using passwordless login?
Yeah, agent. So Ansible also supports agent-based, but agent-based is out of scope for the session. You can also use.
We need to have passwordless connection between two servers.
Yeah, if you want agentless, yes, passwordless connection is required.
Okay.
Sorry, I can't hear. The line is breaking. So in your host, you can either define all, or you can put in group names of web servers. So you can define all these. This is where the Ansible is going to get installed. And we will look into, and this is how I can group and put in the appropriate servers under each group. Let me explain to you how to install. So what I'm going to do is, I take some time, hence I want to start off. I'm going to use CentOS 7 for this demo. I'm going to create two machines. First, on one machine, first machine, I'm going to install Firewall T and stop it because firewall and SLNX normally causes issues. So I'm going to stop it using the Firewall D commands and disable SLNX. And I'll install Ansible on EC2 machines on the first machine, and confirm the version using Ansible -n version. And I would add in the details of the host in my controller machine. Once that is done, I'm going to generate SSH keygen, and it's going to create your public and private keys. And I'm going to replace the public key contents of my master with the authorized keys on the node machines, and give them the appropriate permissions. All this I'm going to do it. To check whether it is working using passwordless, I will run a command Ansible -m ping to check whether it's able to communicate. Once that is done, I'm going to install Apache on my server. I'm going to start the server, and can I host this? I'm going to install Ansible, sorry, Apache, and then going to write in a YAML file, which is going to check in these specific tasks and is going to update Apache on the host machine. This is what I'm going to do it. Now to run this file, the command is Ansible-playbook, the file name, and you can see the changes. Yeah, I clear objective. I'm going to create 2 machines as of now, just to make this demo. Any questions? I think that people were trying to ask me. So Pavan, what's the question? Can you schedule the things? What do you mean by schedule the things?
I mean, it's something like I have written some playbooks, so I want to schedule to run those playbooks, daily or weekly. So can you schedule it through Ansible?
Yeah, you can all do it. I mean, something like a cron, right? Something like that. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah, you can do it, but you need to do a specific steps. Yes, you can do all those things.
Okay. And one more thing I would like to. So, I mean, can we change the default location of? So where is the default location of Ansible? So if you install it, like what will be the default location of Ansible?
So in default in Linux, it goes to etc Ansible folder.
So can we change it?
What is the use case? Why do you want to change it?
Well, as you know, so in the enterprise, like in the root file systems, like we will have important things. So I don't want to keep those on root file system. Like I want to create another mount, and I would like to use it basically for Ansible.
Okay, I am not very sure if I'm able to change that option. Doesn't matter if I'm able to change the default one. Yes, it is going to work. I don't think it's required the specific any location where it saves. I'm not very sure. I cannot comment about that. Where I'm not seeing wherein you want to specifically modify the location. You can modify the location on your source, but on the server, I think it still has to go to etc. That's my answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So let me do a demo here. So I'm going to use EC2. I use CentOS 7. So for CentOS 7, I need to go to Marketplace. So this is your free tier. Just choosing here. Anything will be done, but for the demo, I'm using CentOS 7. Normally for enterprises, you want to use CentOS 7 or Red Hat or Fedora, which is preferred. So this is chargeable for the software, very, very minimal. And the size doesn't matter. Even the smallest fine, T2 micro is fine. 1 vCPU is also fine. But in case if you think more, you can have it there. But even 1 vCPU and 1 GB RAM is enough. So I'm using my default VPC and default subnet, and I'm having a public IP enabled so that I can log in. These are all the default settings for here, and add storage. So let me create 2 of them. And then I can modify the tags. So this I may name it as Ansible controller machine. So for this demo, I think SS is enough. But in case you're using to deploy lots of applications and other things you want, I'm using here all traffic. Depends on your enterprise which one you want to use. I'm using all traffic here. Review and launch. And I launch in the instance using a private key. So this is a private key concept in Amazon, wherein I'm using the public key to launch the instance and downloading the private key, which already have it to, so that password is protected. So I'm launching 2 instances. Yes, Leela, what's the question? Which question we're talking about? I think we're answering all the questions. What is missing? We have anyway have a FAQ session at the end. Yeah. So I would name one as controller machine. Another one is Ansible host. Already had the older one. So I would copy the public IP. Let's try to log in. So username is CentOS, and I promote here. Let me make the screen big and modify the size also. Please give me a minute. Yes, so the username, since I use CentOS image, the username is CentOS and promoted with the root privileges. The first thing I want to do. And the next thing is on any servers, normally we want to do a M update, which is going to refresh the repositories. Yeah, so I'm going to do the next step here, in which I want to modify disable firewall and mask it, stop it. So I'm going to install firewall D and then run this commands once the instance update is done, EM update is done. Yeah, it seems it's done. So let me. We still have lots of other methods, but I'm just showing a simple method in here. Still have different methods in case if you want to do it, we can still do it for installation. This is done. Then what I do is I would also SE Linux is security enhanced Linux, which is I want to disable it here. This is your configuration file in which you have SE Linux. So this location differs sometimes based on the Linux which you're using it here. So for your CentOS, I'm going to update this as disabled in here. And also do a reboot is recommended. And I also log into other machine. And the meanwhile comes and I'm going to do the same steps on the other one also. So let me log in back to the actual machine, server machine. And now do a installation. So I'm going to do these steps now. So I'm install Ansible -y is for also installing dependencies which are required for Ansible. It's going to install. So Ansible is based on Python. In case if OS does not have Python, you also need to configure Python. Since I'm using on a cloud environment, the package has a Python also. If you're using on-premises, you might also have to configure Python, so the path all this is required. So you see this is what the Ansible got installed, and these were the dependency which also got installed as part of installation. So I want to confirm it is properly installed. And it says it has been installed. This is your configuration file, which is etc ansible, ansible.cfg, and this is the module which is there. So when I go to this location, let me clear the screen. So this is all I've created as of now. Now going back to other machine now. So this is my this. The same steps. So what they do is, in case if you have lots of machines, you can also write in some scripts which you can use it for doing all these steps on lots of machines. And I'm now going to Yeah. Any questions till now? Any questions on installation? I can take in questions now. Any questions?
Yeah, hi. I mean,
Yes.
is that mandatory to disable firewall D, all those things like in the enterprise when we are not sure whether they will be allowed or not? So, is those mandatory things?
See, it is not mandatory, but we are it's a known fact that SLNX is always causing problems, correct? It's a known fact. Everyone who loves Linux is always causing problems. It is advisable if you have some other options, or you can do it. But this is how we do it. Yes, it is okay. You can do it. Yes, you can
When
do
do
it. Yeah,
do
yeah.
we have any different steps for Red Hat Linux or Oracle Linux, some other way,
See,
flavor way?
Red Hat and CentOS both are using YAML, right? You can use the same steps. But for using a Debian base, you might want to install some extra EPL packages. But normally for the Red Hat and CentOS, you can still do the same step. It's going to work for you. Yeah, which you can find more from documentation.
Sure, thank you.
So question by Asif is one machine where you're going to install Ansible, other machine where you're going to do the task that you want through Ansible. Is that what I'm going to do? So what I'm going to do is on this server, I'm going to install Apache, and I want to push in this Apache configurations to my host machine. That's the host other one. Am I clear, Asif? So my this is done. Let me log in back to my host. So this is my host machine. So we have done all the steps now. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to update in my host machine private IPs details of my destination. Yeah. So what I do is I go to my host file in here. And I'm adding an entry in here. This is my host, and I just add it. Sorry, this is not required for here. Sorry. So I go come back here, and first thing is I can first generate the keys here. So SSH hyphen 1 minute. Just let me re-log in. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to generate a key pair in here. And I choose the default locations. So it says it has been created. Let's go and check. And at this location, so I have authorized keys. I also have a public key and a private key which got generated. So what I can do is this is my public key, and I also get in for the same location. You see authorized keys are there. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just for this demo, so we can use DD option escape. I completely delete the existing contents. Insert mode, and I want to copy the contents in here. Okay, so I've replaced the contents of my public key, which we created, with the authorized keys on my host, to which I want to push the configuration files. So this step is also done. So now on the destination machine, I need to give in permissions. By giving permissions, and I would also give in permissions here. So now I want to check whether I'm able to do a passwordless SSH from a source machine. Are you clear? Any questions to your team? So what I've done is I've yeah. What's the question? So I'm going to do a simple command. So Ansible -m stands for module. So I'm going to execute a command for ping. So for that, I need to write in the group. Yes, Shubh, what's the question?
Hello, Chaitanya.
Yes, yes.
Can you change the color code of your to putty session so it will be easy to understand on which machine you are typing the command?
Okay.
Chaitanya, hi.
Yeah, tell me.
Can you please explain the passwordless authentication?
Okay, passwordless authentication means it must able to communicate from the server to the host without asking for a password prompt. So when I'm trying to do SSH, I'm going to do a SSH from my controller machine to the host. It will not ask for a password.
Okay, so we need to give that comments, right? Like authorized keys and all.
Yes, yes. This I've done now, no?
Okay.
So
Yeah.
what's your question?
Okay.
Chaitanya?
Yes.
This is specific to user or system? We are generating the authorized keys, right?
Yes.
That is user specific? Actually, we are generating from using root user.
Okay.
If we are generating from normal user, then we are copying to another system, right? Authorized keys.
See, normally, okay.
Okay,
so that is not going to affect you. So you want to do any operations first of all on using root credentials. So you're talking about would the authorized keys of the user would change, would not be able to log in. Is that a question?
Yes.
No, still able to log in. Still he would able to be logged in.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chaitanya, in most of the organization, shooting up commands with root user is not possible.
Okay. So here I'm not logged in as a root. I promoted myself as a root. Hope you saw it here, correct? I do the
that is okay. But can you try doing passwordless with other than root user?
using a EC2-user, correct? Something like that?
Yeah.
Yeah. We'll see that. Okay.
Thank you.
So now I want to check whether I'm able to ping. So for which I need to write in a Ansible host file in which I update in the details of my private IP, the destination host. So back to the server in here. So I think there was a question about this is my, sorry, it's getting disconnected. Just give me a minute. So I think people wanted to change the color. Let me change the color in here. So for the colors, the screen you're talking about or the font, which one you want to modify?
The background color. You can use system colors for this.
Okay. Yeah. So let me. So now I go to vi/etc, and this is your file. So in this, you can see it here. This is your syntax given here. So comments, which is not going to execute it. And you can have groups name something like this. For example, if you want to push in some configurations onto 10 machines, which are your web servers, you can group them together under one category. Like this, you can have in categories, or you can have individual IPs, all this you can set it here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to add in a group in here. So like this, you can have many groups. Let us create a group like a web here. And under this, I'm going to put in the private IP of the other machine to which you want to push. So in here, it's 172.31.88 and 100. 31, 88, and 100. So if you have multiple, you can just add more also in here. I'm doing it here. So now I'm done. So I just want to check whether I'm able to ping the specific group service. So now what will happen is if you don't use passwordless, you might want to enter and then you have to connect here. So we are going to see that it is going to communicate to the host machine without the password prompt. This is called as passwordless. So this must be established for the controller machine to contact or push in the software configurations, application configurations to the slave nodes. Are we clear? So yeah, different mechanisms. I need to look into it, an EC2-user. So can I again do a demo once later? If can I use an EC2-user, first we'll finish off the flow and then I can come back to EC2-user. Yeah. Now, what I want now here is I want to go and install Apache on this, and I want to, and I want to also update the same software on the host machine. So I'm installing using yum install httpd, which is a service package name for Apache, and then I do a service start. Service and started. The service is started. And I also would go and look into where exactly it installed. So normally you are this location under which you find that the conf.d is installed. So I have installed Apache. How to confirm? I can also confirm by copying the public IV into the browser. And I'm able to get in a page. It means that Apache has been installed on my server. Now I want to push this configuration from my source to the host machine, for which I need to write in a playbook. So find the location where to install. There's a location. And I need to, for YAML files, prefer they use a Vim editor. In case you don't have Vim editor, you want to install Vim editor by using minstall vim. And you write in a file, Apache, whatever name you want to keep, .yaml. And these syntax, we want to call it out. Yeah. So now let me open this using Microsoft Edge, because syntax might not come in properly in here. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to open this shortcut. In case you can also use like Microsoft Edge. So if you use Microsoft Edge, the syntax of YAML would be perfect. So I'm opening inside that. So I will now do the steps now on the machine. So just confirm that M is there, Vim is there. Yes, I'm installing Vim editor. And now any name you can, for example, apache.yml, what a name you want to define, you can define. And go to insert mode, and you can copy the syntax. So this syntax YAML always start with 3 dashes, hyphen. This is your specific host details you want to call in here. The variables which I want to use, 80 is for Apache, and how many nodes to which I want to push in 200. I want to log in as a root to push this, and what task to be executed, what takes to be done. The source detail is where to install is this, and destination also I want to have the software installed onto this. I want to ensure these are done once it is installed. So I would copy this. So I've copied this and ensure that all the lines are there. Now for executing the command is Ansible-playbook, which is the keyword, the file name. Now let's check what happens. So now it's getting the facts. Facts means it's getting the details from the host machine. It says okay, and it changed because it did not have it installed. And it has installed it, and you can see okay is 4 and changes 2. Now when I again run this now, you can observe what happens. It's all going to be green because it already had the latest version. Now let me go back to my node machine. And it got installed. You not even reboot the instance, automatically is going to fetch in. So in your first thing, for example, I can directly do a service HTTPD status. It says it is running. And I can also use a command Apache version, or I can go to /etcd, and you see this, it has got installed. So this is how you can write in a playbook, mention what you want, and it's going to execute it, and it's going to install or update whatever you mention in the task and the playbook. Are we clear?
Yeah, can you explain the various aspects of that Apache.yaml?
the file, what does it contain?
Yeah.
Okay, so let me go back to H. Okay, yeah, where you are. So this is the YAML hyphen. This is your syntax for YAML -3. Then this is your list. So you use a hyphen YAML syntax. So host, web, and for each of them, I want to install on port 80. And how many clients use 200 I want to use. You're going to use actual 200 machines to which you're going to run this. And I want to log in as a user, as a root to perform this operation. You mentioned on the root remote user, all this under variables. Under the task, you want to
one sec, but already had we already did SSH without passwordless for password for root user. So do we need to write remote user as root here?
Yes, you're supposed to. Yes, we're not in SSH here, but you must be logged in as a root on your machine so that it can install it. It doesn't allow you. You need to mention. You're supposed to mention remote user. If you don't want root remote user, you can also use a specific user with privileges. For example, local user requires.
Okay.
Yeah. And under the task, you want to put in the what you're trying to do it, and what is the package, state latest, and where is the initial configuration. This is your source in which you have the template, the destination to where you want to do it, and you want to get known. You saw the message like okay and all those things. That's all coming under your all this restart. All this going to do it. So this is how you can write in your sample playbooks. So more details.
Know about what is notify, what is service, what is handlers, and all of this.
Okay, handlers is going to. So when I executed this. So it is going to, so for example, when you run this, it has to get restarted by the service need to restart them, right? Intern is going to notify internally.
I didn't get you.
What is handlers? So handlers is a parameter which you use in your Ansible. For example, you want to restart some specific service, and those specifics would be done using handlers.
Okay. So what is service like above handlers? It is also written service, then name, HTTPD, then state started.
Yes. Yeah, this is going to notify you this machine what you get in here. So when I go to my server, you see this notification, all these things. So going to ensure it is going to check that.
Maybe you need to explain it in more deeper way. It's okay. It's okay. You can continue. I'll check it out.
No. In simple, see, first time you got OK for change here. So this notification is given by your notification option. So this is going to let you know what got changed. This information, what gets, this is given by your notify option.
Or what I understand is notify is you have written restart Apache. So it will redirect to handler with the name restart Apache, and then it will restart. Yes, so whenever you write handlers, notify has to be there. This is what I understand.
Yeah, you're right. So handlers and notify both are required. So if you do not have notify, handlers cannot be done. So if you're using notify, it has to communicate again back to handler to restart the service.
Okay, so in this case, handlers can be in another file if notify is in this file.
Normally, if you are using notify, even the handlers also must be in the same. Why do you want to have something like that?
Maybe because of this file complexity.
No, it is not complex. It is not complex. I don't think the best practice wherein you want to have notify and handlers. If you're going to use notify, wherein you want to check on service, that even that the handler also must be in the same document. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Thank you.
Okay. Question by Asif is, where do you mention the IP address for target missions? So the target mission, you can mention directly in here, the IP address in here, or you can mention in the specific group name. This is where you mention the IP or the group name. which I called out in my etc Ansible host file. So let me again show you the file. Yes, web is the group. Yes, team, any questions?
Chaitanya?
Yeah.
We have seen that in our YAML file we have sections like notify and all that thing. Any section is missing right now, means because this program is simple, we are just installing our Apache. Is there is any more sections we need to add in our YAML file if we are writing something else? Or these are the only sections we need to add in our YAML file, like notify, handler, your var?
So these are the required ones, but apart from that, for example, you can use here become method, other parameters could also be added. But these are very much required to be there. Apart from this, for example, you can also add in parameters like task, debug, and other options could also be added.
Okay. So someone can learn YAML so he get to know what commands he need to add, right?
Yes, yes.
Okay.
So YAML is just going to give a syntax, but what exact parameters you want to look into Ansible documentation.
Okay, okay.
So team, we have 5 minutes for any questions. If no more questions, we can close the session.
Yeah, hi Chaitanya. I mean, it's open source tool, right? So we don't need any licensing.
So in case if you want to use GUI and other things, where you want to have more privileges, yes, you can also use license. Both are supported. So for example, there's something called as Ansible Tower. If I use Ansible Tower, wherein you can use a GUI, you need to have license.
Okay.
Yeah. Your CLI, you can use
So
it.
other than that, like it's a free tool.
Yes, it's a free tool.
Chaitanya, are we done or we are still to continue?
Hey, we are done. If you have any questions, we can. If not, we have done. This is what we had for 90 minutes. Yeah.
So just would like to know, so we can install with any other user, right? We can install Ansible with any other user, right? So do we need root permissions, or does it need a set of permissions that should be fine to run the ML script?
I think we can also do using EC2-user, but I think it requires at least some admin permissions. It requires some admin permissions. Yeah.
Okay, some set of permissions.
Yes.
I mean, one more thing is like, so whatever the commands we are running on other host target machine, those should be depend upon the user we are connecting, right? So that should need to have the required permission to execute those commands. For example, if I am executing any shell scripts, I mean shell commands, so the respective user needs to have the respective permissions, right?
Yes, you're right.
Chaitanya, whatever we did in this 90 minutes was configuration management part, right?
Yes.
Okay, nothing sort of deployment and orchestration.
No, this was not part of the demo here. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, thank you.
So for deployment, if you want to learn more, so we have a course wherein I teach about. So this is the table of content. So we'll start learning about all these things, and we'll also learn about how to work with your specific modules for setting up a specific servers and how to use the rules, which is part of a normal table of contents. But in here, we just start only to give a demo. And in case you're interested, you could register and we could have in the full course.
Okay, cool.
Thank you. So thank you all. So I think I'll close the session. Thank you all for joining. Bye-bye.